The story that I'm about to tell is adapted from one that I heard from the late Paul Harvey. And he tells this story about a mother who's preparing to take her children to church on Christmas Eve. And she asks her husband one more time for him to please join them at church. He declines and he explains to her, look, I just don't believe any of that Christmas message about the incarnation. I just can't believe that God could become a human being. I mean, that's the stuff of fairy tales, okay? So if I were to go with you to church, I would be compromising on my integrity. So, no, I'm just going to stay here, but I'll wait up for you. So his wife lets out a sigh and shuffles the children off to the car and heads off to church that snowy Christmas Eve night. So this gentleman picks his paper back up, sits in his easy chair, and begins to read by the fire, only to be interrupted by a thud. And then he hears another thud again. And he began to think, well, maybe somebody's throwing snowballs at the window. And so he goes outside and he notices nobody's there except for some freezing birds who've been caught up in this winter storm who want to get inside. The glass is so clean, they keep flying directly into the glass. And so he's moved with compassion and he remembers, you know what? I stable a little pony in the little barn for my children. I know what I'll do. I'll open the barn, I'll turn on the light, and they'll fly in there. I'll close it, and they'll be free from the wintry elements. So he goes outside after putting on his galoshes and his heavy coat, opens up the barn. The birds don't move. They do not move towards the barn. And so he thought, okay, right, I guess I'm just going to have to herd birds. So he begins to kind of run at the birds and try to herd them the best he can, but they don't go anywhere near the barn. They just fly out of range from him and then settle together as a little flock there. And so he begins to realize, you know what? They're terrified of me. I know what I'll do. I'll go inside, I'll get some breadcrumbs, and I'll lay out a trail from where they are into the barn. And then I'll be able to slam it shut, and they'll be safe and they'll be warm. Only these birds pay no attention to the bread trail that he's laid out. And he begins to get more frustrated. He begins to think, why can't these birds understand? I'm trying to help them out here. And in futility, he begins to run at them again, just hoping that things will change. But they don't. Things don't get better. The birds don't get anywhere near the barn. And he begins to think, you know, if only for a few minutes, if I could just become like them, if I could become a bird that could see me, they could know me, I could communicate with them, and I could help them understand they have nothing to fear. I just want to care for them. And right when he comes to that realization, over the sound of the wind howling in the distance, he hears the church bells ring, and he can faintly make out a congregation singing, "O come all ye faithful." And then it dawns on him what the incarnation is all about. What it's all about, Christmas. God wrapping himself in human flesh to show the way of life, to help them understand what life is all about. And he sank in the snow on his knees. This Christmas, because of the pandemic, is going to be atypical for almost all of us. I feel bad for my friends who are experiencing stay-at-home orders, who are in lockdown, particularly those who are in the UK, who are in a tier system, who are going to be denied the opportunity to meet with extended family. All of us would agree that some of the important traditions for us in how we celebrate Christmas are either not going to happen at all or going to be curbed or negatively impacted. I've already mentioned some people are not going to be able to see their family. Some people are not going to be able to even exchange presents. They're not going to have the opportunity to get together for a traditional Christmas meal. They're not going to have the opportunity to even go to church in some cases or sing carols. And that is unfortunate, is wonderful, as all these aspects are of celebrating Christmas. The fact that some of us are going to be denied those features of Christmas or not get to experience them in the way that we want invites us to consider, what is Christmas all about? Okay? And I think quite simply, when you get to the essence of what Christmas is, that if you take it out, whatever you have, it's not Christmas. It would be this. It is the incarnation. It is the truth that God wrapped himself in flesh and came to us. Okay? That is what Christmas is all about. That's what we have in Jesus Christ. It's a mind-blowing thing. But if you take it a step further, I think it's good to consider, why would God do this? Why would he bother? And we know from Scripture the reason why God came near at Christmas. It's because he's a relational God. It's because he loves us. He wants a relationship with those that he created. And he's the one who makes it possible. And so, unfortunately, even though we're not going to have these opportunities to do some of the things that we really want to do at Christmas, I hope that we can take some time and ponder these truths and what they reveal about God. And when you get a quiet moment, I want to encourage you to reach out in prayer to this relational God. Call upon the name of the Lord and ask him, Lord, what do you want to give me this Christmas? What do you want me to receive from your hand? I believe if you do that, I believe you can still have a wonderful Christmas, even though it might not be anything that you ever imagined. I'm praying for you. God bless you, and Merry Christmas.